Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of the Mac Summer Podcast. I'm your host, Isaac Daniel Eng, broadcasting and recording from Hayes FM Studios in Port Credit. We've got a very special guest interview for our Artist Spotlight today. She's the winner of this year's MARTY Emerging Literary Artist Award earlier this month, and she will be joining us for an interview and a live reading, so stay tuned. But first off, let's get going on our Mississauga Arts events listings for May 27th, 2015. Mississauga musician Arlene Paculan and her band, The Cool Ones, are performing at the King St Bier Market Thursday, May 28th, starting 8 p.m. The Mississauga Players Theatre Group will be continuing its 64th season with their production of The Grand Hotel from May 28th through to the 31st, with shows at 8 and 2 p.m. Auditions for the Halton Mississauga Youth Orchestra are taking place May 30th, June 1st, and June 2nd at King's Christian Collegiate. MAC member Betty Zhang and other Mississauga artists will be selling their works at the Rosedale Art Fair all day on May 30th. The Dam will be hosting the Retro Dinner and Dessert Auction in support of young moms at the Community Christian Reformed Church of Meadowvale, featuring delicious food and live entertainment provided by Jeremy Wright. Tickets are $20 and childcare will be provided. Also on May 30th, the Mississauga Festival Youth Choir presents One Voice, One Heart at the Living Arts Center, 7 p.m. May 31st, AIM at CMAC Dojo will be opening their doors for free admission yoga, an open house exhibit, and a workshop on artistic anatomy and visual arts. And that will wrap up this week's MAC events listings. For further information, just go to the Mississauga Arts Council website and click on the events calendar, or sign up as a member and have the MACtivities newsletter emailed directly to your inbox. And if you're organizing an upcoming arts-related event in Mississauga, be sure to join MAC and submit that information so that we can promote it to the arts community. Now, before we bring Peta-Gaye into the studio, I'm going to play you a song by a very talented local musician. She was the 2014 MAC Volunteer of the Year and is currently taking Mississauga and GTA by storm with her sweet voice and red hair. I am, of course, speaking of my good friend, Arlene Paculan. Have a listen, and if you like what you hear, be sure to check her online or by seeing her perform live Thursday, May 27th at the King St Bier Market in Toronto.
got it real bad. I've got you on my mind all the time.
Hi, this is Anu Vital. I'm the Executive Director for the Mississauga Arts Council, and you're listening to the Mac Summer Podcast.
Hello again, and we are back. My name is Isaac Eng, and today we've got a very, very special guest for our very first Artist Spotlight. Critically acclaimed short story novelist and 2015 MARTY Award winner in the literary arts category, Miss Peta-Gaye Nash. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start off with a little Coles Notes version of your biography, your life story. How did you grow up? Where did you grow up? And when did you start writing?
So I grew up in Jamaica, and I started writing pretty much as soon as I could write. I used to keep diaries. I still do, actually. And I would write whenever I could. I was actually a very shy child, and writing for me was the way to express myself.
Mm-hmm. And your latest project is I Too Hear the Drums, and it's a mixed race anthology. So what does that mean? What is a mixed race anthology?
Actually, I wrote that story for a mixed race anthology, but I Too Hear the Drums is a collection of my stories, and it spans the lives of different people who are going through struggle. They're going through discrimination, racism, love, loss. Yes, all of that. So that was first published in 2010, and the new edition has just come out with a few extra stories.
Okay. So are you of a mixed race ethnicity yourself?
Yes, I am.
Yes, as am I. I'm half Chinese and I'm half Scottish. And you are half Jamaican, half?
Full Jamaican,
Full Jamaican.
And mixed with West African, Scottish, Irish, English, the whole
gamut.
Yeah. Yes.
So do you think your stories, are especially applicable and resonate, especially so with Canadian audiences and even maybe Mississaugan audiences because of the mixed race?
I didn't think so at first, and then being the big reader that I am, I always read different authors, and I was reading this Sri Lankan book once by a Sri Lankan author, and I thought, if this book is applicable to me, then perhaps my stories are applicable to everybody. It's not just, about being mixed race, it's about life, it's about the struggles that we all face.
Interesting. Now, what's it like being an author in Mississauga, or more generally, what's it like being a Canadian author? How has that experience been for you?
If someone had told me in advance what it's actually like to be an author and work full-time, I would have probably said, I can't be bothered with it. But it's something that I love. It's something that's it's in me. It needs to come out. What is it like? I have to do it. And I'm just so glad that Mississauga supports artists. I'm so happy about the MARTY Awards and the Mississauga Arts Council. The libraries are very supportive. What is it like being an author? Well, I work full time, so it's great, except that it's done very late at night on weekends. It's not the full-time job that I would like it to be one day.
Maybe not yet. We'll see.
Not yet, one day.
Yet. So you have a very interesting and eclectic biography. You've traveled a lot, and there's your mixed ethnicity, and then you have a family life as well. So how have these elements affected your writing, and how do you draw from them?
The traveling part, I backpacked around the world for 2 years, and this was, of course, before the internet, and I would write these long descriptive letters to family and friends, and they would all tell me, you should be writing. So that's really how I started to push myself to, show the world what I'd written and not just keep them hidden away in diaries. The family life, if I didn't have children, I've got 4 of them, I would never have bothered with children's stories. The stories wouldn't have come to me in the first place. So definitely my family has influenced the children's stories.
And as a MARTY winner, you mentioned we had an excellent event a few weeks ago, and we got to celebrate all great artists in Mississauga. You were a winner, and I wanted to say congratulations. And
thank you.
So far, you've enjoyed, a fair amount of success as a writer. So for other young, not necessarily young, but new and up-and-coming writers that are trying to break out and get seen and get read, what's your career advice for them?
You can't ever give up, because the journey is frustrating, and maybe all artists are a bit alike in that We can be impatient, emotional, dramatic, and we want things to happen now, and we want to be recognized for our art. Doesn't always happen immediately. It could be 1 year, it could be 10 or 20 years, but you cannot give up on this journey. It is something that takes tenacity and perseverance. You've got to keep pushing towards that goal. The second piece of advice is to get with a like-minded group. A writers group is one of the best ways to show other people your work and to network.
Yeah. So the Mississauga Arts Council is one great resource for doing exactly that.
Absolutely.
Great. So now to finish up our little talk, you have prepared a little reading for us from an excerpt. So do you want to give us some context? Where is this coming from and what's it all about?
Okay, so this story is what I submitted for the MARTY Awards. It is part of a new collection that I'm writing. The working name of the collection is called Told Ya, and it's actually written in the voices of 6 middle-aged men, as weird as that sounds, who are also mixed race. Now, the protagonist is a mixed race person who is living in the 70s.
Okay.
So he's meeting his first African-American friend for the first time.
Okay.
Okay, so the story is called Many Rivers to Cross, which is the title of a Jimmy Cliff song. And here we go. And this is Felix talking. This is the African-American. John is a mixed race person. John, tell me about the Caribbean. Why do you dislike admitting you are black? It made John think hard. He didn't want to associate himself with the masses of people who could be so unruly and easily incited. Was he one of them? It hurt to be considered lesser. So why did he consider himself better? John said, I was walking in the street the other day, and I saw 2 pretty girls outside a storefront. They smiled at me, so I went to talk to them. Then their boyfriends came out and said, Are you talking to that nigger? Then the girls scuttled away like I was vermin. I've never been called a nigger in my life. It stung. I can't forget it, John replied. I wake up at night and hear that guy's voice. This is new for you? This isn't new for me. My great-grandfather was lynched. He was taken out of his house by the Ku Klux Klan in front of his wife and children, led to a deserted field, and they lynched him just because he was black. The story goes that he was in a store and the owner gave him the wrong change. My great-grandfather demanded his money and he wouldn't leave the store. They had to threaten him with a gun. Unbeknownst to him, the store owner was a Klan member. They came back that night in their white hoods and murdered him. After his death, his family fell into extreme poverty. I'm the first one to go to university, the first one to graduate from high school. We're studying world history. Is there any mention of the black man? What about African history? Notice it's not included? John couldn't argue. When you tell me Columbus discovered Jamaica and then you tell me in the next breath that he found Arawak Indians living there, it's contradictory. Columbus didn't discover anything. People were there living their lives. Do you understand the oppression the white man has put us under from America to your country, to India, to Australia? Do you see it, John? So when you tell people you're not black, they think you're negating your race, part of yourself. You are siding with the very people who oppressed you in the first place. You ever notice how every picture of Jesus Christ has blue eyes, blonde hair, and white skin? John had never thought about it. He shook his head. Why? Felix continued. I know white people live in that part of the world, but so do brown and black people. Who is to say Jesus wasn't as black as I am? Or even your color? The thought of Jesus being black shocked John. No. Why no? Why are you shocked? You've been brainwashed by colonialism so that you think that because you are light brown, you are better than someone who is darker. Don't you see how wrong that is? Felix looked around him. They were walking through Central Park, although Felix kept stopping to face John to emphasize his points, to face him squarely and look into his eyes. They were shivering in the cold winter air and the sky was an oppressive gray. War is coming, John. As sure as the sun will rise tomorrow, war is coming.
Very powerful words. Thank you very much, Peta-Gaye. So can you tell us where that's from and where people can find that book, should they be interested in reading it?
It's not yet published, still working on it, but hopefully it will be available in stores and on my website, which is www.Peta-GayeNash.com. And it's really a story about John, who is learning how to think differently, and he eventually becomes a Rastafarian. And these people were very discriminated against in the 1970s. So that's really what the story is about. It's how he changes his whole perception of color and of politics, and, you know, yeah, he just changes completely by meeting with someone who is from another place.
Well, thank you so much for coming in, Peta-Gaye. We really appreciate it. We were glad to hear your works, and we will be sure to catch up with you. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me, Isaac.
If you'd like to learn more about Peta-Gaye Nash, you can find her online at petagayenash.com. You can also check out her book, I Too Hear the Drums, available online or via paperback delivery from amazon.ca. For more information still, all of this will be posted on the MAC website. All right, listen up, MAC members. Here comes your question of the week. Who is your favorite author? Bonus points if they're Canadian. Responses from last week's QOTW will be shared on episode 3. You can email your answer and any other feedback you have to mac@mississaugaartscouncil.com. You could phone in at 905-615-4278. You could find us on Facebook, tweet us at Miss Arts Council, or even drop by the office at City Hall. Just ask for Isaac. I'll say hi. Then, make sure you stream or download the latest podcast from mississaugaartscouncil.com/podcast. If you are an artist in the Mississauga area, either emerging or established, now is the time to join and become a MAC member. Network with other artists, have your work promoted, stay up to date on the latest events, and be first in line for all kinds of artistic opportunities, like, say, landing an interview on the MAC Summer Podcast. All right, I'll play out today's show with another song by the lovely Arlene Paculan. Special thanks goes to my producer and editor, Vernon Bainey, at the Hayes FM, and to my executive director, Anu Vital. My name is Isaac Daniel Eng, and I will see you next week for episode 3 on the 2015 MAC Summer Podcast.
Conversations mean nothing no more. It was fun while it lasted, it's all in the past. I need to relapse from this trance that you put me on. My patience is running thin and I can't keep my eyes, my lies, my mind off of you. What you are, walking different.